All right, I think we're not live, sorry, but we're recording. Welcome, Centerline Systems. The end of the week. You're not doing a live stream. Hey, but I'm going to do a quick video. I know, I always say quick videos, but this is not a loadout video, but I want to talk about our folding saw pouch. That's the smallest of the 3 folding saw pouches we make, because I've had a bunch of questions come up over the last couple of weeks, and it just seemed like, okay, now's the time to revisit that. So just to start off, I got my Nemesis, breaking in my Nemesis boonie cap. And I got some folding saw pouches here. Here's one in Nemesis as well. There's a mother over there. Actually, see if I can do this. Ooh, not bad. Almost on the first try, upside down and backwards. There it is right there. That's a mother in Nemesis. That one's mine. Kind of spinning around in our thing, but not talking about that stuff, doing folding saw pouches. So what I really want to kind of point out here is, so the folding saw pouch, this satisfies and kind of accommodates the standard smaller folding saw pouch. Think of the BAHCO Laplander. That's what's in here right now. The Gomboy, the Silky Gomboy, like the 210, and that's going to be important. I'll come back to that in a second. Or the F180 Pro, you know, basically about 9 inches folded, closed, right? And then, so it isn't just a pouch to put your folding saw in. And again, I'm going to go through all this in a second. On the back, you have MOLLE, and you have a sleeve. So, and this MOLLE, you can attach it to other products like a rucksack. You could just run it through and make a single channel on your belt, right? Just go, you know, skip the top row, go to the bottom row, make a single channel, or do it the whole thing, just skip it all and just snap it in place. And now it's a much larger channel. Like, you know, think of like, if you're wearing a big rucksack that has like a huge built-in pad, you might want to undo it that way. But, you know, again, and the other thing I guess I also want to point out is, so it can MOLLE to a whole bunch of different items. It can be worn on your belt, but there's also an axe sleeve here. And I'm going to show that off in a second too. But that's another carrying configuration. You know, if you're just carrying just a folding saw in here, right? You know, just that, you could run your belt through this channel, and now this is sitting in the small of your back, you know, either, you know, and you could do it left hand open, right hand open, you know, so, you know, whichever hand you're dominant with, or whatever hand you want to manipulate that tool with, you can just reach back there, unsnap it, pull your saw out, right? And then that's, so you got basically a couple different mounting options. But here's something I wanted to kind of point out. You know, so I've had a couple of people reach out to me in the last couple of weeks, and go see our customer shout out from, I think that was a week ago. John was his name. So John had some folding saws. Again, so here's a BAHCO Laplander. You know, generally speaking, these saws are about 9 inches, you know, and then and a matter of fact, just on that note, they're about 9 inches. I do not have a Silky Pocket Boy, Blackbeard. You've maybe seen him on our live streams before. He was talking to me about maybe making a pouch for the Pocket Boy. The Pocket Boy is 8 inches. So at that point, you know, why do a whole new product? Just have a lanyard on it and it'll fit there, and it'll just be an inch short. That's what she said, but it'll just be an inch short. So, but anyway, so most of these are about 9 inches, and they're not all the same. Some are really thin, some have swale, some are fat. And the reason I'm pointing this out, as you're going to see in a second, so it depends on what the device is that you're putting in the back. And the truth is, I don't know every saw in the world. So that's where, again, I mentioned John once. I had another customer just the other day and another yesterday talk to me about different size saws that they were thinking of using in this. So I'll get back to that in a second. But before we do, you know, your axe sleeve. So this is a cold steel trail hawk. I really like it. It's I just like it. You know, I like that hammer functionality. But the thing about it, you know, again, not all saws are created equal. So that handle is really kind of common. It's just really skinny, doesn't have much of a swale. And you can see, you know, now it fits in there. It fits in there really nice and, you know, easy in, easy out. You know, it's on your side. You can grab it. Now, what I'm not going to do is, so, well, I will. So here's like a shovel, right? And this is a super lightweight shovel. And you can just see the handle. Like this is got a lot of swale. It's a huge handle. The BAHCO Laplander is a pretty large saw. So I can get this in here. I can make it fit, so to speak. And you can see I'm already kind of not really struggling, but I got to get it started. So I'm kind of holding it in place, and I'm trying to do it without smashing everything here. But, then you can see I really kind of got to milk it down a little bit. And I can get this all the way in there, but it's going to be really snug. So again, I don't know the answers to every tool out there, but this is really generous on the swale and the handle. So, that'd be like putting a full, work shovel or something in there. Probably not going to fit. But now in this folding saw pouch, I've got the Gomboy 210. It's a much thinner profile saw. And as you're about to see, so all I'm doing is I'm just pointing out, you got to think this through. I'll help you if you call me and ask me questions. And like I've been doing, I always do that with everybody, but I don't know every product out there, every tool, whatnot. So again, just kind of got to start it off a little bit, but you can see that really, really pronounced, really aggressive handle with the swale that fit in here a lot better with the Gomboy 210 than it would with the BAHCO Laplander. It's just because of how those saws are designed. That's it. I'm not saying one saw is better than the other. So you just got to kind of know your tools, figure it out. And if you got questions, just let me know. That's what I'm here for. And then here's a Roselli axe. Now look at the swale on that thing, right? That's really, really, really aggressive. Same thing, just got to kind of start it just a little bit. And there you go. So you can get a very aggressive axe or shovel or handled tool in the folding saw pouch with your saw already in it. But you might, if you're doing the Laplander, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others. I don't own the Pocket Boy. I don't own them either, but I don't own the Silky Pocket Boy. So I don't know how that would fit. Like if we just did that same experiment with either this, with anything that's got a really thick handle, a robust swale on it, something like that. But so just some things to take in consideration. And then here's the last thing I wanted to point out. And this is where John comes in. Actually, let me just do this real quickly. So this is a Gomboy 210. So this is still coming in at 9 inches. That's 9 inches. So that's still coming in at 9 inches. John, if you go back and look at the shout out, he had a saw I wasn't familiar with. Excuse me. Still fighting cold, kind of. I've had a chest cold and I got rid of it, and yeah, still have a little issues. I got the black lung. Leave a comment if you know what movie that's from. I got the black lung, Pa. If you know what movie that's from, leave a comment. Where the heck was it going? Oh, the Gomboy 210. So this is 9 inches. I think, there's maybe a couple different sizes or styles of this Gomboy, like probably a 240. I'm just guessing here. because I don't know, but his was larger and it was like 11 inches. So on the flap, you can, if hopefully this is showing up, you've got all of that, which is it's over 2 inches of adjustment that you can do with the pocket flap and the retention strap, right? So it can fit in there, these larger ones. But if you go larger than that, you really probably want to look at the big boy folding saw pouch, or what John did and what other people have asked. And this is what I wanted to really kind of point out as well here today is I can always make this flap longer. And that's what I did for John. So his saw probably would have worked with just this, but we were kind of like, I'm not 100% sure. And again, then the gentleman I just talked to yesterday, same thing. Well, so, measure, check it out. And if you need to, I just make this flap longer. So for John, because his saw was 2 inches longer than, kind of like these generic, kind of industry standard ones, we just made the flap 2 inch longer, right? So we made a little bit of adjustments because of that on the webbing and where it goes and everything. But other than that, so I call every customer. Unlike all that cheap ass shit from China and those companies that you can never get a human being, I call everybody. Matter of fact, I'll be calling a whole bunch of people on Monday and probably Wednesday of next week because I like to review the order with you, right? This is all customized, or it's customizable. Maybe you made a mistake and you hit, multicam and you really wanted Nemesis and it's your project, right? That's what we're doing. We're making this for you. So I review everything with every customer. And if you got questions, you can ask me then, because I have one of the reasons I make that phone call is to let you know we're getting ready to make your product, start looking for shipping. Here's kind of the ETA and all that. And then, of course, I want to make sure that we're doing this exactly the way you are envisioning it in your mind, answering any questions you might have. And then for like John and these other gentlemen, it's a good point to like, well, hey, I'm putting a 12-inch saw in there. Oh, well, maybe you're going to want to consider the big boy, or maybe we make the flap longer for you. So I'm going to reach out to you if you place an order. You can call me all the time. I don't always answer immediately, because I'm wearing multiple hats. This one just happens being the badass nemesis, but I'm wearing multiple hats. But I get back to everybody. If I'm in that room over there cutting webbing, it's really loud. I can't hear the phone. I'm not going to make you like, listen to me, although that would maybe be kind of funny too. But man, I do like this nemesis. I am showing it off. I mean, look at that hat. I got my nemesis blouse sitting in my hunting box with all of my dirt scent things in there. I know everybody's like, what do you, I don't know. Maybe it does work. Maybe it doesn't work. But I like the fact that I smell clothes smelling like dirt. I know. Weird, right? Weird. The outdoors, man. Love the outdoors. All right. That's my folding saw pouch video. Not bad. A little over 10 minutes. It's very versatile. We kind of treat it as our loss lead. We don't lose money on it, but we don't make money on it. Times are tough. I get that. If you want to buy cheap ass stuff from China, let me just ask you this question. How is this thing $30 completely manufactured in all of that stuff, and then all the way over here and then to you for $30? Just think about that once, I mean, it tells you a little something, but you do you, right? But if you got questions or whatever, reach out. So all I'm trying to say is for us, you're like, oh man, look at that. Look at this. Folding saw pouch. It's something everybody should have, especially if you hunt, if you camp. They're just great tools. I really like what we came up with when somebody first asked me to make it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to make a folding saw pouch, it has to be multifunctional, carried multiple ways. And I definitely wanted to have that axe/shovel, because shovels are very important. Shovel's a great thing to have in your car, in your kit. I mean, you'd be surprised how much you'll use a shovel if you start taking one out to the woods with you, especially if you're going to be there for a while, slit trenches. That's all I'm saying. Stuff like that, You got a mixed bag, it's you, your wife, and $2. Well, you might want to start thinking about how you're going to get rid of all that Mother Nature, that you've been consuming, so you know what I'm saying? Kind of keep it PG-13 here. But all right, I think that wraps it up. I wanted just to point out, we can always make the lid longer if you have a slightly larger saw. It can be worn and carried multiple ways to include multiple different additional tools that you can put in there, attached to a piece of gear, attached to a belt, attached, worn in a scout carry configuration. Accommodates the vast majority of saws that are anywhere between that 8 and 10-inch range. Anything over that, maybe you want to give me a call, because we might want to do the lid a little bit larger. Totally customizable. You got options. But if you got questions on that stuff, give me a call. And I think that kind of covers it. Yeah, me and my Trailhawk says that's probably the end of the video. So, all right, reach out if you got questions, comments. I'll do the best I can to help you out. I mean that, seriously. I need to start plugging that more. Good luck trying to reach so many other companies. Again, I may not answer it immediately because I'm doing something else, but I will call you back. It will be me that you get in touch with. You will get in touch with a human being. It won't be some 30-minute, click this button, click that button for this option, hit number 2. No, it's none of that stuff. So, and I think that needs to be really stressed nowadays, because, I'm a consumer too. And I hate it when I'm on the phone waiting for 30 minutes and then I don't even get somebody, or if they answer and then they hang up right away. Yeah, that's not what we do. We never have, never will. And so even if you don't call me, you're going to unfortunately hear me once, because I'll be calling you to make sure your order is the way you want it to be. And on that note, reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can to help you out. And until then, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, everybody, we'll see you again soon. Everybody be good. Have a great, and today's Friday, so have a great upcoming weekend. Woo!